You're listening to the Pittsburgh Piledriver.
What the hell is that?
Podcast.
Hello, everybody. It's that time of the week again, and it's P3 time. The Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast is coming at you, and we're going to do the talkies in your ear holes because that's what we do, allegedly. So, yeah, it's going to be an exciting night. We've got Mr. Holland's Opus getting all jiggly in the ankle. We've got NXT TakeOver we're going to discuss. We have prediction picks for the AEW Dynamite anniversary show, and a multitude of other hodgepodgeries. Maybe there'll be an argument. My fingers are crossed. I don't know about yours, but it should be a good show if you are in the mood for entertainment and for idiots just yakety yakking at each other, because that's what we do. I am Alec Ransom. I am the feistiest, angriest, sassiest, most sarcastic, least serious person you'll ever meet. And I am joined, of course, by the silver-tongued devil with the voice of an angel, Poot the Bard. We're also joined, yet again, this is going on, a streak here. We've got a streak with this guy. Speaking of streaks, the Goldberg of the podcast, Tiger Bomb Tom, is also with us. And
done.
Let's not forget, the most decorated at this very moment, member of the Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast. He is your reigning, defending, undisputed Chooserweight champion. He has defeated us all, yet he and I are tied in the standings so far, trailing very close behind by both Poot and Tom. He is our illustrious Chief of the Buffets, Beef the Legend. And before we kick off this cockbite of a show, Rooster Teeth, we would like to go ahead and thank our sponsors, our very own Casual Gaming Dad. I feel like he's a separation, though. I feel like Tiger Bomb Tom Casual Gaming Dad is the fiend version of Tiger Bomb Tom. Separate entity, sometimes possessing the same body. It's hard to say. But in any case, shut up. Casual Gaming Dad, check him out on the interwebs. We'll have a better plug for him at the end of the show, I'm sure, because I won't be doing it. But we'd like to thank him as a sponsor because he does a great job and he gives us the hookup. And we get to play fun games with him. So there's really no downside. Also, we'd like to thank Sean Tischler. He does IWC in Clearfield. I'm sure there'll be more information coming on that towards the end of the show as well. We always get a much better plug for the sponsors coming towards the end because, again, I don't do it. In any case, I'm going to go ahead and turn the microphone over to the man draped in gold and corral. That would be our champion, Beef the Legend, for some AEW Dynamite anniversary picks.
That was a hell of an opening. Every time I think that you've done it, you always outdo yourself. So,
well, don't worry.
I'm
sure in 15 seconds it'll all be lost and it'll have to be done again and it won't be great.
The man draped in gold and corral. I'll take it. All right. So, picks. Picky right now.
Is Tom still here, or did he stroke out after that Goldberg intro?
I definitely stroked out because I can't listen to such blasphemy, but you barely redeemed yourself by referring to me as the fiend as the fiend persona. So you're on thin ice, Ransom. Thin ice.
Right. I'm on my P's and Q's for the rest of the podcast. I promise.
Hey, he will punch you. He will punch you in your old man hip, so you better be careful.
Mm-hmm.
Poor hip.
And he's got tiny little fists, and they'll get right in the joint.
Tiny little fists. Oh, no.
The bad knee.
All right. So, October standings as we stand here.
Well said. So eloquent our champion is.
Right? Eloquent as always. Ransom and myself stand atop the leaderboard at 4-1. NXT was a good show for us. Poot and Tom, not so much. 2-3. Got some catching up to do. So we move on to the AEW anniversary show, which is a pretty stacked card. I'm actually surprised that the women's title didn't make it on. It may still, but obviously if it does, we're not going to pick for that. So the 3 title matches that we know of right now, we are picking. The first of which is for the tag team titles. At this point, I would probably say the most prestigious tag team titles in the land. As of this moment. FTR, the reigning defending champions, versus Best Friends. FTR has been defending in these like little gimmick 20-minute matches, like, hey, you have to beat us in 20 minutes or you don't get the belts. However, this is going to be competed under normal 60-minute title match rules. Best Friends, number one contenders, FTR, the incumbents. We will start with me, and I am picking for the Revival. Poot, what you got?
Best Friends. I just love their theme. Honestly, I think they've been doing a really good job of legitimizing the Best Friends more so than, they've always been a little comedy-y, but they've really done a good job of making them like, oh, wow. Yeah, we forget that these guys are who they are. You know what I mean? But I feel like it's just not time to pull those off the Revival. I'm going to go with FTR.
Ransomniac, open your mouth. Give us your pick.
Oh, you're the best.
Thanks, man.
As always, I want to pick the Best Friends, and it has nothing to do with wrestling and everything to do with my love of Italian firearms. I feel as though I need to pick them because of Trent Beretta, and I do love a Beretta.
Do it.
But I can't imagine them taking the titles off of FTR.
Do it.
So I'm going to break my pick streak here and go against the manufacturer of fine Italian firearms, and I'm going to say FTR.
And a funny note, I read that he's going to try and get his last name back. So he will no longer just be Trent. He was going to be Trent Beretta again. I don't know how far into that proceeding it is, but I've read that that's going to be a possibility.
Why did
I completely missed that.
Why did he lose it in the first place?
Because WWE.
Yep.
Did they own Trent Beretta?
Mm-hmm.
It was the reason they did is because it was before he started. It was before he wrestled as Trent Beretta. He went to WWE, and they went, "Oh, that's cool. You're Trent Beretta. We like that name. Hey, it's ours now, but that's cool. Don't worry about it." You know what I mean?
When the hell did he wrestle for WWE?
Oh, it was what?
Cup of coffee.
Yeah, for a very brief cup of coffee.
It was literally about 10 years ago on SmackDown. He tagged with somebody, Beretta, and I can't remember now. But yeah, it was not a long run at all.
No.
Huh. Okay. Anyways.
Well, that sucks that he was there for a cup of coffee and they took his name.
That's why there's so many name changes. Like, what was
Joey
Cameron Grimes? Cameron Grimes' name?
Trevor
Lee.
Yeah, no. Trevor Lee. Yep.
Yeah, really? Trevor Lee. That's why he's Cameron Grimes.
I kind of like Cameron Grimes anyway.
Yeah, Grimes is way better.
To the moon. I love it. I love the character.
Tiger, we're way off the. But yeah, it's the hay bale's already turned over. Tiger, Bob, who you got?
FTR, folks.
Oh.
Well,
Oral.
Gonna be chatting Tiger the rest of your night. The rest of the night, you fucking prick. All right, so the TV. So we're all going FTR there. The TNT title match, which I don't like calling it the TNT title. I still think it's the TV title, but it is what it is. The newly minted young up and comer Cody, who has won the title in a auspicious return. It was actually a really good match last night.
It was.
Versus,
I did watch that.
Yeah, but
Orange Cassidy. So, speaking of up-and-comers, Poot the Bard, show us something.
I know Cody just won that belt. But I part of me, and this is me going out on a limb, because I'm already down, so if we all pick the same thing, this isn't going to net anyone anything. So, why not? just throw caution to the wind. There's always future possible title reigns. I'm going to go with Orange Cassidy on this one, and here's my reasoning. Number one, the internet is up in fucking arms about Cody winning that belt. Because a lot of people are equating him to Triple H in the early 2000s, and there are people making statements like,
well,
oh, you got
one troll on
stop
PWP
interrupting
Nation
me. I'm not
does
doing
not
this
mean
tonight.
a lot of people.
I'm not doing this tonight. Let me finish my thought. You, with your belt, it's my belt. It's my belt, not your belt. Anyway.
Goodness.
Okay. My idea here is I believe they want to keep Brody Lee looking strong. Understandably, he lost the belt to Cody. There at least was a story there, and it's believable that Cody could defeat Brody Lee. Is it believable that Orange Cassidy defeats Brody Lee? And I know what you're thinking right now. You're thinking to yourself, but Poots, that would make Cody stronger than Brody Lee. Why is it more believable to have Orange Cassidy win that belt? I think Cody does not need he can take that loss, and it would also set up a good feud. And I think Cody looks good in defeat in the sense of he's a really good bitter loser. He's just very good at that character. I have just a weird gut feeling. It's not a strong gut feeling, but I feel like Cody is going to be a transitional champion so that Orange Cassidy didn't defeat Brody Lee and make Brody Lee look weaker. I feel like Cody is comfortable taking that loss to Orange Cassidy. So that's why I'm saying Orange Cassidy. I'm sorry I got snarky. I just want my belt back, beef.
Duly noted. Ransom, who you got? Cody versus Orange Cassidy. Cody the incumbent, Orange the challenger.
I see Poot's point, but the TNT title, I feel like that's Cody's belt. I think at least for the better part of the next few years, you'll probably see that belt on Cody Rhodes, like in the early 2000s, we saw the World Heavyweight Championship on Triple H. I think it'll find its way home to Cody more often than not. And I think he'll hold on to it here until he's ready to drop it to somebody else who's going to have it for a considerable amount of time. So I'm going to go with Cody.
Tiger Bomb.
This is a really hard one to pick, but I think at the end of the day, I'm going to go with Cody on this one. So
I thought this was my going out on a limb pick. I'm picking Orange Cassidy as well. Yes, I agree. AEW does a great job with not hot-shotting titles. They have not done that yet, which lends credence with next week being the first time. I think more importantly, though, two things. One, Poot's right. Cody's taken a lot of heat for winning that title right back off of Brody Lee, barely a month after he lost it. And fucking Brody Lee destroyed him and the family. It was the fucking fall of the House of Usher. He destroyed Cody and Arn and Brandy and Dustin.
It was
and
a massacre.
All of a sudden, it wasn't even close. And then Cody rises from the ashes like a phoenix with dark hair, and he's like, "I'm back, bitch, giving back my title." I don't buy it. And two, I think AEW realizes how over Orange Cassidy is right now, and I think that their way of capitalizing on that is going to be with giving him that the title, which is slowly growing on me. I don't like the fact they're hot-shotting it around. I don't like the fact that Orange Cassidy is getting his second TV title shot in at 3 weeks. So those two things don't sit well with me. But I'm all for Orange Cassidy getting a rub. So yeah, I'm picking the Orange Man as well.
You know
Finally,
what, Beef? You know what, Beef?
Hmm?
Here.
What?
Cheers to you, buddy. Cheers to you. And also, I will give you props for trying to talk me out of Orange Cassidy back there. Good try.
When did I try to talk about Orange Cassidy?
Anyway, go on. What's
I think
next?
I missed that too.
The main event. Jan Maxley versus Lance Archer. Main event, AEW title at stake. Ransom, lead us off.
I'm going to say Moxley.
Short and sweet. I love it. Tiger Bomb.
I'm going to go opposite. I'm going to pick Lance Archer on this one.
Ooh. Every bone in my body wants to pick Lance Archer, but I just cannot see them doing a title change on free TV. Not yet. NXT can get away with that because they're part of a larger brand. I think AEW still needs to protect the title a little bit. Although I do love the vignettes they both gave last night. It definitely makes it seem like Mox is like, hey, you know.
Oh, I'm glad it wasn't just me.
Uh-oh. Beef.
Poor Beef and his basement internet.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Beef, come back.
Beef,
disconnect
come,
and reconnect.
Beef. Boof.
He's dead.
Boof.
He's dead.
I'll
Beef's
get him.
dead.
Boof. You
He died.
gone.
My God, that man's got a family.
By God. Well, while Beef is off in internet land,
Yeah.
Pardon me.
I might as well throw out mine. For giggles, I'm going to say Lance Archer. It just seems like, not that it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, you know, it's time for Moxley to lose it. It's time for this, time for that. I just think not necessarily there's going to be fuckery about, but I really, really, really think that it would make some noise. And I understand 2 title changes on one card is kind of, especially like the 2 top singles belts. Understandably, AEW doesn't have the number of belts that WWE has, but it's kind of that impetus of like, it would really make a statement. Because this almost feels like the reset period. You know what I mean?
Right.
I know it's not All Out. I know it's not Double or Nothing. I know it's not Fyter Fest, whatever. But this is like, feels like a reset point, and I feel like Lance Archer going forward would be a good one. So I'm picking Lance Archer.
Hooray.
See, I agree with everything you're saying there, Poot. But I think the reason that I picked Jon Moxley is because if I'm wrong on the TNT title, I think this harkens back to Beef's point. I would be personally surprised. I don't think it would be a bad thing, but I would be surprised if they gave away 2 title changes, their middle title and their big title on free TV. One, they give away the middle title, fine, that's understandable. But I would be surprised if they gave both to people on free TV, even though it's their anniversary show. I'd still be a little surprised if that happened.
I mean, I don't disagree with you, and it is a stretch, but I mean, weirder things have happened, and I think coming off of a lackluster All Out and needing to make a little bit more noise, especially with that, because AEW is under way harsher scrutiny. Coming off the heels of that Cody Rhodes thing, I really think they're going to make some noise and try and make it interesting. And yeah, maybe it's a little trigger happy, but I think it's a very real possibility.
And I think another thing to keep in mind is that they also said they want to be an alternative. How long ago? They said they wanted to be an alternative to WWE. So something from us being conditioned and watching WWE over the years thinking like, oh, well, you know, they're not going to obviously change titles on a Monday Night Raw or on a SmackDown or something because why change titles on TV? It hasn't happened often then. Doesn't mean that AEW has to stick to that same script of things. You know what I mean? So like maybe, you know, just to be different and just to say, all right, well, you know, you might have said to yourself, don't expect a title change because it's free TV, but we're not WWE, we're AEW, and we're going to do what the hell we want to do. So in that vein, speaking of people doing what the hell they want to do and Beef with his picks, go ahead, Beef. Tell us what you're going to pick.
Oh, did you guys not hear my pick?
No,
No,
because you
Nah.
slipped into
Well,
you slipped into the matrix of your basement
Yeah.
garbage internet, fucking Podunk Armstrong bullshit.
No,
Let's
I
go
have
easy
fine
on Armstrong
internet.
there. I got something to say about that later.
No, my internet's fine. It's my stupid fucking phone. If I were on my laptop, I guarantee I would not be disconnected once. I don't know what it is about my phone likes to disconnect Discord. But it is what it is. I'm picking
Beef.
Moxley
Okay,
because
yeah, the last thing we heard from you, Beef, is when you said something about you didn't think that they would give away the title change for free
exactly
or on free TV, and then you entered the Matrix. So just to let you know where you dropped off.
Duly noted. I'm picking Moxley, yeah, because it's free TV, and so there is also a tournament, a number one contenders tournament that's going to be either happening at Full Gear or the finals are happening at Full Gear. And while there are a lot of big names in the tournament, it's very obviously setting up to be Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page in the finals. Obviously, I mean that you can't write shit like that. So I feel like this is Kenny Omega's time. I think he's going to beat Hangman at a Full Gear. I think he's going to claim the title from Moxley at their next pay-per-view, which will probably be Revolution. And then he's going to have a nice long heel run with the title, only to be upended by Hangman Page down the line. So this is me kind of really forward thinking. But yeah, I'm picking Moxley. So, all right. So
Can I chime in here real quick?
You sure can.
Okay, sorry. I want to get this out before I end up forgetting it because, memory, and I know I will. Just to kind of call back a little bit to what Tom said about them being different than WWE. I agree with what you said there, Tom, but
Yeah.
in this instance, I feel like it's a little bit less of a performance aspect and a little bit more of a business side aspect. And the only reason I'm looking at it that way is because WWE has a pay-per-view once a month, sometimes twice, sometimes back-to-back weekends.
Yeah.
They have the WWE Network for $9.99, allegedly. And while you can still get their stuff on pay-per-view if you're not subscribed to the network, AEW only has Bleacher Report.
Right.
Like, they don't have a network of their own where people are subscribing and they're not getting monthly, income off of something like that. So I feel like they probably will be a little bit more exclusive with their title changes on pay-per-views because A, they don't have as many as WWE. B, they don't have a $9.99 a month network. So I don't know that they can necessarily say, we're going to be different than WWE and we'll show you some title changes on free TV when they need people to buy those Bleacher Report pay-per-views.
I get that. My only thought, and it's I agree with that to an extent, but I kind of going off of piggybacking what Beef was saying. I think you're not going to see the Kenny heel change until maybe until after he would win the title. So I think having it on Archer and then having Kenny win the tournament and then face Archer is a strong possibility as well too. We could see that see that heel change in Kenny after he wins the title perhaps, but
Kenny's already kind of a heel. Yeah, Kenny's already kind of a heel.
What's that?
No, I'm just pointing out that Kenny's kind of a heel already, given his promos, given the fact that he's like ducking Hangman Page, and he's like, I don't want to be a tag team anymore. I want to be a singles wrestler. And he's calling tag team Page, or he's calling a Hangman Page. Oh, tag team Page. Oh no. He's calling Hangman Page
tag team. The great.
He's calling Hangman Page a tag team specialist. So he's definitely like healing up pretty good already. It may not be official yet, but he's like right there. I would be shocked if they held off any more longer than they had to with that.
Interesting. All right, sorry, Beef. I did interject there for a second just to get that out. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to kind of recap here real quick. We're all going FTR, and the other two matches were a mixed bag. Poot and I are going Orange Cassidy, Ransom and Tom going Cody for the TNT title, and Poot and Tom going Lance Archer for the heavyweight title, and Ransom and myself going with Jon Moxley for the heavyweight title.
Keeping shit interesting, buddy.
that leads, and I will say that not one of us have the exact same picks the whole way through.
Right.
Leading me to the final call. Change them if you got them. Anybody want to take advantage of last call to change their picks?
Nope.
I'm good.
I really feel like I should switch to Orange Cassidy after some of the arguments that were put forward tonight. I don't want to be that guy, so I'm going to stick with Cody. But I just want it noted that I think at this point, I believe that it really could be Orange Cassidy. But sticking with Cody.
Okie dokie. We are locked in, gentlemen. It is official for the AEW anniversary. And I mean, honestly, it should be a pretty good show. Last night was a pretty good show, minus the Dr. Luther slot fest.
No.
I mean, to be fair though, the dude's a veteran, a ring veteran, and he basically was in the main event as a as a gift to Jericho, you know. So, I get it.
Can I ask something real quick?
No.
Yes.
Oh,
that was a rhetorical.
Go ahead.
That was a rhetorical.
The man is not asking for permission.
No, I'm taking the bull by the horns here. So I saw something that Justin Plummer had posted something about saying Britt Baker, Wardlow, and Mandime all in the same segment. My heart is full. Was Mandime the clown?
Was he?
I don't know. Because I saw something, because there's the thing going on in to digress a little bit, in IWC. There's something about I think Jock Sampson is the new, like, the current IWC heavyweight champ, and there was something about, like, there's like Team IWC versus whatever.
Team Plummer,
yeah, like, well, no. Team Plumber is Team IWC or whatever. So it's
versus the regulators.
Yeah, and it's like for control of IWC or whatever. And so he's like, Jock said something about, like, you should be more worried about the company rather than, like, you know, shouting these people out or something. I'm gonna look it up and confirm, but I was wondering if anybody knew if that was Mandime that was dressed up as the clown or not. I'm gonna check.
I'm not sure.
Okay, hang on. I'll get back to you guys on that, but carry on.
Well, since we're just kind of touching on IWC people, again, featured on NXT in that segment with what's his name? They do the catch can thing.
Timothy Thatcher.
Yeah, Timothy Thatcher's Thatch can. Featured on the Timothy Thatcher bit, our boy Mambo.
Really? I missed that.
Cool.
Yeah, our boy Mambo again.
I do want to say something about that, and what's
it definitely looks like the Mandime. Clownico definitely looks like the Mandime.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna look up the post that I saw real quick. I just, because I'll have to look up Jock Sampson real quick on Facebook or Plumber, either one. But I'm gonna try to confirm what was said and see if that's the case.
What's Mambo Italiano's name in NXT?
Anthony
DeLuca.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, while I am a much bigger fan of the name Mambo Italiano, on a personal level, I am a little happy that they are using a different name. Because if he were to do big things in NXT, and then for some reason decide to take his talents elsewhere, he would still have access to that name Mambo Italiano.
Agreed.
I'm glad that WWE didn't let him keep that and then snatch it up.
And also, you know, we love, because we saw him in action, and the whole Mambo Italiano gimmick, coming out with the flags, like the whole 9 yards. He nails it, and he makes it feel like big time.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see WWE taking Mambo Italiano to a completely goofy limit.
Yep.
Like, and that's the thing, is like, I'm okay with the name change. Also, the other thing, I would surmise that it's something along the lines of, like, copyright law, because that was a Dean Martin tune, right? Dean Martin.
Oh,
Los
yeah.
Mambo Italiano.
Yep.
So and that's not common under common usage or fair usage or something like that, unless he could get the copyright under like specifically for the performance of wrestling. But I don't know how that works. So I would assume that there was probably some kind of copyright thing. So he would have to come up with a new name. But I'm glad that it can be contained to IWC. I agree with you, Ransom, quite a bit.
So just looking at the post here from Justin Plummer, it said Britt, Wardlow, and Mandime all in the same segment on national TV. My heart is full. And then going down into the comments to laugh, somebody said, always knew Mandime was a clown. And then the best of the comments there is a quote. I'm sure Ransom will recognize it. I only have to say who it's by. I feel like all my kids grew up and then married each other. It's every parent's dream.
That's outstanding.
Oh,
So big congratulations to Mandime, who is another amazing heel. Like if you follow Mandime on social media, especially on Facebook, dude, he fucking lambastes everybody verbally and gives zero fucks. He is he's like a step right behind MJF as far as like my favorite heels of the modern day right now.
Well, when we saw him at the IWC show in that battle royale, and he came over and sat in the chair like right next to us. And
that was not Mandime. That was
Lebanon Dawn.
That was Lebanon Dawn.
Was that Lebanon Dawn?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I
him.
thought that was
Mandime was in a title match, I think.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
The toilet paper champ.
Yep.
That's right.
So, yeah,
that's
I mean,
absolutely right.
Mandime is a hell of a gimmick, and he's like, and yes, it's a little bit of a rehash of like a little bit of a Shawn Michaels, Lex Luger feel, a little bit of a Rick Martel feel, but man, he plays it so well. I would love to see him succeed.
And you brought up the Lebanon Dawn. He's another one that I would really love to see show up in a NXT or an AEW. He was entertaining for me on all the levels. In ring, I thought he was fun. And then when he came down and sat down at ringside, like right next to us, Tom stood up right in the middle of the match. They're in a battle royal match. He's sitting at ringside, and Tom leans over the barricade and goes, "Hey, can I get a picture with you?" Lebanon Dawn goes, "Of course," and took a picture with Tom in the middle of the battle royal match. How awesome is that? I would love to see him get a nice big break.
I really can't wait until we can all go to any sort of independent wrestling show again, or just any show together. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, yes. Right. That was, and I mean, last little touch on here before we stop jerking off our indie boners. This is a real big deal. Like. IWC, and I'm not trying to disparage other indie promotions out there. Again, Imagine Wrestling worked with the same, a lot of the same guys and gals too. So you're going to see a lot of the same faces, different characters maybe, but same faces. And there are other great wrestling acts around the city and such. But IWC, man, they right now they are like a pipeline to the big time. So, again, we can't stress it enough. Get out there and see these guys and gals, because you may be seeing a future, AEW or NXT superstar in the ring.
You know what? I don't think there's any maybe about it. I'm willing to bet that if you go to an IWC show, I say chances are pretty damn good that, that they might not make it to the big time, as in they might not be world champ at one of these places. But I'm willing to bet if you go to an IWC show, you will see somebody there who will eventually be in NXT or AEW. Because they have a boatload of talent.
And by the way, another quick congratulations to Elijah Dean. Also, him and I believe it's Zach Nystrom are IWC Tag Team Champions currently. They won it at the most recent event, I believe it was, or the event before. I can't remember which. But
they beat Steak and Eggs.
Yes, they did.
Steak and Eggs. Oh, how great is that too?
Yeah.
Dude, Ransom nasty over here.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's those IWC shows. I've only been to one, but I've watched a few others, on YouTube. Man, it seems like every single one I've seen has been they've just knocked it out of the park.
I gotta
not
say,
every
I'm
match is a
bummed-
barn
Oh,
burner,
sorry.
but oh, I'm sorry.
No,
not
okay,
every
you're
match is a
good.
okay. Not every match is a barn burner by all means, but overall, I walk away from watching those events going, you know what? Don't regret it. I don't regret sitting down and watching this. I'm highly entertained every time.
Oh yeah, I mean the last one I went to was last year, I think in December, because we went for Lilia's birthday. It was the Pittsburgh Wrestling Classic or whatever. Whenever Jack Pollock had ended the era of Argos, which was a little sad, but that was such a fantastic match in itself too. It's just they always seem to put on a really, really good show. So
And that was gonna be my next point, is that I'm definitely bummed that Jackson has not been around. I don't know what the problem is. He's not actually from Canada, I don't believe. I know he's trained there, so I don't think it's like a passport thing. It could be. I don't fucking know. Yeah, man, it's I'm shocked that he has not been around as much as he should be. But at the same time, I also know that just means that he could be plugged in a big spot, in a big return spot somewhere down the line too.
Who are we on about?
Or he could be. He could be. Fixing to make a debut on a televised promotion. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Oh, that'd be great.
That would be amazing.
yeah.
All right, so speaking of televised promotions, we had a really, really, really good show on Sunday night. Weird to see NXT on Sundays, but whatever. With NXT TakeOver 31. First and foremost, gents, what do you guys think of the Capitol Wrestling Center?
I dig it, man. I think it's not the game changer that Triple H was making it out to be. However, it's interesting. It fills the space. It delineates it from the Thunderdome just in presentation, and it makes it feel like you're watching an indie show, and I dig that.
I agree with what Poot said. 100%.
What about you, Tom?
Uh-oh.
I mean, I didn't get to watch the show Sunday, so
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Sounds like Beef's fixing to drop something.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no clue.
I feel like when I initially saw it, I was like, oh, this is it, because Triple H made out to be a big fucking deal. And there's your fucking tagline, like, don't overhype and underdeliver, underhype and overdeliver. If I would have never heard anything about it, I would have been like, oh man, what a cool setup. But outside of like the initial factor, especially with watching NXT there last night, I really dig the vibe. It uses the Thunderdome. It does what Thunderdome does better than Thunderdome. I like the way that the fans are portrayed there. I like the fact that they have, like, honest to God, actual fans. I like the fencing on the glass. Everything really works there. So, I'm a fan. I'm certainly a fan.
Now, let me ask you this, Beef, because I didn't watch the show myself, but I saw still pictures of the venue. So I do want to ask, the fans that were in the crowd and I don't want to go into a big thing here, but the fans in the crowd, were they masked?
Yeah. There was a couple times that there was like a guy who was very clearly trying to be like, hey, I'm the center of attention for once in my damn life, pulling his mask down, trying to like yell things like, bro, they're not going to hear you any better or any worse with that mask on. But other than that, it was a very strict masking policy. Social distancing, not so much, but masking, yes.
So with that, are you thinking that since they are requiring masks in there, we might not see the issues that we've seen at AEW where, there could possibly be some COVID outbreaks because there are people in the crowd, they are not masked? You think this is kind of covering their ass a little bit better?
I think it's covering their ass. I think it's that they're kind of in pods, and then they have to separate them from the performers as well. I think it's a little more contained than AEW is.
Oh, that's good.
So AEW is very dispersed, except for like the wrestlers at ringside, which are hit and miss. They don't show the actual fans very often. The actual fans are pretty much in the upper deck of Daly's place, and that is to keep them separate and distant. I think letting guys like Moxley continue to make his way through the crowd is probably not a good idea. I get that it's his shtick. I get that he's a badass and all that. But man, like you got to take the temperature of some things sometimes.
So when he does make his way through, at least the one time I noticed, I don't think that he was near anybody. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, this last time he came out, and I forget what event it was. It may have been All Out. A fan rushed him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. They had to have security hit a fan.
Well, security tackled him pretty promptly too.
Okay, so that incident aside, going forward, like whenever I was watching some TV, and it would have been after All Out, I think they may have altered his entrance to where he still quote unquote comes out through the crowd, but he's not near anybody. Right. I yes. believe. So
you are correct. Yes. Sir.
Okay. Because okay, gotcha.
Well, that's good.
So I don't know that they're in pods though. So like pods are like, and if you tune on to any football or pretty much any sport that's allowing fans right now, it's basically like cordon sections of like the people that you come in with like a 6-foot radius around you to not have any interaction with other people. The Capitol Wrestling Center does not allow that space because of them having the Thunderdome set up behind them. So they're pretty much all kind of crammed in there like sardines in a box. But the plexiglass between the fans and the wrestlers, I think, is the biggest precaution that they're going to have there. So they'll keep the talent safe. I don't know about the fans, but I don't know that Vince McMahon's too concerned about the fans.
No, of course he's not. But like the point was, I thought there were like dividers between portions of fans, but I could have been wrong. But the point is, at least they're trying. You know what I mean? Not to beleaguer AEW or anything, but like I think maybe this was one of those things where WWE saw the writing on the wall and they went, okay. You know?
My biggest plus on the whole thing is that it doesn't feel like the Performance Center. Like initially whenever they came in, I'm like, oh man, it's just a Performance Center. But then they down the lights and they turn on the wrestling lights, the entrance lights and everything, the mood lighting, then the Thunderdome, then the entrance screen. So it definitely like takes that feel of the Performance Center away, which I think was the biggest detractor.
Did they have people on the Thunderdome screens?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So they had a mix. They had Thunderdome and live crowd.
Yes. And it seemed like the audio was bouncing back and forth between live fans and like gigged in stuff. I think they were taking a lot of audio cues from the live fans, but they definitely had like other backup tracks mixed in with them. So that's a plus too, plus as well. So the actual event itself was, a lot of people are calling it the show of the year.
Wow.
At least since the pandemic. It was pretty damn good. I still think Portland was a little bit better, but not a ton. And for this show to compete in front of like 25 live fans, it was probably more than that. And like in the venue that it was, and with everything going on in the world, and like the fact that, like I said last week, my biggest thing was that it was like spaghetti being thrown at the wall. Like there was really no rhyme or reason for a lot of this stuff. They came out with a really great product. What was you guys' takeaway of the night or the match of the night for you guys that you really liked, or just something that piqued your interest of it?
Do you guys want to go ahead first?
Well, I just watched some review, or I just read some reviews. I didn't actually watch any of the actual matches the whole way through, so I don't really have a whole lot to contribute on that.
Okay, all right. So from what you saw, what was the thing that really kind of caught your eye?
What, me?
Oh, yeah, let's go with Poot first.
Sure.
I think from a notable standpoint, was one thing that piqued me and I went, oh, was Kushida Dream. Kushida basically just like, to parlance a Jim Ross thing, beat Dream like a redheaded stepchild. Dream got some offense. It was a good match, but like, it was just the fact that it's like, Dream is very clearly being not pushed down the card, but he's definitely being like, hey, you done fucked up. We're going to punish you. Like, and not like he's still on TV. He made an appearance on NXT. It was very brief, but it's keeping the Kushida thing going. I think they're going to transfer it over to Ciampa. But he's becoming a whipping boy, him and Austin Theory. And I think it's good, though, because it's a vehicle for Kushida to get over. But the thing, and honestly, I know it's kind of cliche to say the main event, but God almighty, what a match between Balor and Kyle O'Reilly. Good Lord. Both of them came out of that match not medically cleared to compete. Kyle O'Reilly, I don't know if his is like kayfabe, but Balor fractured his jaw in 2 places. So like Balor is, and also they made it very clear, like Balor's not relinquishing the title. He's going to be out of action for a bit.
They did not make that clear.
On NXT this week, they did. They
didn't say anything about it.
Did you watch the promo?
Mm-hmm.
Balor like very clearly said, he was like, people were wondering if the quality of my run was going to be like the last one. Well, here's your answer. Like I
think that was more of the match that he put on with O'Reilly, not how long the reign's going to be.
That's fine, but like I don't see them, because I don't think Balor's either someone peed or poured a drink. I can't decide which.
Pour water in my water bottle.
Either like Balor's injury, yeah, it's not good that he fractured his jaw. However, it's not as severe as what happened to Karrion Kross. Like Balor's going to be back in a reasonable amount of time, from all accounts.
That was going to be my question to you, because why did they have Kross relinquish it but not Balor? Because you would think that a fractured jaw would take longer to heal.
Well, a fracture. Well, the thing is, you want to go ahead, Beef?
No, man. You go ahead. I'm biding my time.
The point is, from all accounts, Balor's injuries, it's fractured, but it's not like his jaw was dislocated in both places and it was like completely broken off and it was this mess. It was fractures of his jaw. Like from what I've seen, now it could be conflicting reports, but Balor's injuries were like not grossly out of place. Like he was swollen up and everything, and he's on a liquid diet currently, which I have a little thing here from Wrestling Inc. pulled up about all the injuries that are just kind of fucking happening in NXT, which is a shame. But Balor, he had the broken jaw. He's on a liquid-only diet. He's going to have it set, but like those kind of fractures can heal much faster than an absolutely wrecked shoulder. Because when you dislocate your shoulder and you tear up all those ligaments and tendons and stuff, that shit takes forever to heal and normally requires a big surgery. the injuries Balor have will heal on their own from what I'm seeing. The other thing is the other thing that grabbed my attention just really quick, because I want to hear your take on this, Beef, because I think they're going to let Balor hang on to that belt. But the other thing was the Cruiserweight match, man. Swerve Scott and Escobar. Man, that was a fun match. That was fun. Those are the two things that stood out to me, were the main event and the Cruiserweight title match. And of course, like I mentioned, Kushida and Dream.
Can I ask a question?
You may.
With Balor's jaw injury, is this something that he can't, because I don't know a whole lot about broken bones and especially jaw bones. Is this going to be something to where he can appear on weekly TV and do promos, or is he pretty much going to be wired shut and just
I think if they have him appear at first, he's just going to be ominous. And he's just gonna like appear and stand there, glare at people, set up whatever. But like I really don't think it will be long before he'll be back and he'll be operable again, or at least be able to cut a good promo.
Oh my! Did somebody else just injure or fracture any part of their body just now?
No, like my stand just decided it wasn't going to hold my stuff anymore. So
it was just like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah. So
your standard.
The article that I'm reading is saying 6 weeks is a typical return time for a broken jaw. That's like, for you to be a regular person. Finn Balor is going to be taking shots to the head and face. Now, again, we understand that wrestling is a puffery sport where it's not, realistic, but I mean, even still, there's still a possibility that he takes those shots, which could hurt the jaw more. That's concern number one. Concern number two is that, 6 weeks is a long fucking time. Even if you tell me that Finn Balor is back in 6 weeks to the day, that's a month and a half. I don't know, man. Especially with Halloween Havoc coming around the corner. I don't know. It's a tough spot for sure. But I'm also reading that Dave Meltzer's saying that it's being made worse than what it is. So who fucking knows?
Oh. So I mean, could he not necessarily stay away, but even if he has this fractured jaw, whoever he's going to be in the next program with, whatever the correct wrestling buzzword is, either that or, if he's going to come back to try to get revenge on Kyle O'Reilly for busting up his old face-a-roni, could he still make appearances and, deliver some flying knees and things like that, even with a broken jaw? I mean, if he's not taking any hits himself, if he's just showing up, making a quick attack, farming off, can he do that? Or is it one of those things where it's like, you know what? You better not jostle anything.
That's a good question.
Well, so here's the thing. I would honestly think the opposite, that he probably couldn't, because it's going to get jostled. Like any bump he takes, it's going to get jostled.
You're going to get jostled.
And if he's a person who, like a lot of people, like clenches their teeth whenever they are getting ready to take a bump like that, that makes it even worse. I don't know. It's a very difficult position because, like we've just said, NXT just went through this after putting the belt on Cross. They don't want to do it again. I'm sure they don't want to do it again. But they're trying to make Halloween Havoc a big deal. So I can't imagine them not having the title defended. Honestly, I think that this week was kind of a way to buy them time. To see where he's at next week, to see, how things are progressing, and to see if they have a backup plan.
Can I also say how great it is that Shotzi Blackheart is going to be hosting? Halloween Havoc.
Oh, it's a match made in heavy. Well, match made in hell, really.
Heavy.
Yeah.
Hell. No, that's gonna be great. I just wanted to note that because Shotzi Blackheart is just so great.
I would.
So I want to get Beef's opinion on the whole Halloween Havoc thing. With Finn Balor being injured, how long is it between now and Halloween Havoc?
October 28th. So 3 weeks.
Ooh, yikes.
So here's the thing. So let's assume that Finn Balor's out, which who knows? If Meltzer's saying that they're making a bigger deal of it than it is, who knows? So let's assume, though, that he's out. I'm sure that they had something big planned for Ridge Holland and Adam Cole. That's off the table. That's completely off the table. So
Why
now, because Ridge Holland's hurt. Because Ridge Holland hurt his ACL.
Allow me really quick. So Ridge Holland on NXT. I'm sorry, I'm breaking your gate, Beef. But we might as well touch on this since we're also kind of talking. about injuries.
That's right. We talked about that before. Sorry, I completely forgot who that guy was.
Ridge Holland. For anyone who doesn't know, if you go back and watch NXT from this past week, which would be the 7th of October, he was in a match with was it Oney Lorcan?
Yes.
It was Oney Lorcan.
No, Danny Burch. Danny Burch.
He was in a match with Danny Burch, and, after the match and everything went down, Oney Lorcan came out to save Danny Burch from a beatdown, and Oney Lorcan went for a dive over the top rope, and Holland caught him, and if you go back and watch the footage, you can basically see his ankle, buckle and fold under himself. It's disgusting. If you're someone like me who is triggered by bone breaking stuff, maybe be careful watching it, because I almost threw up. Not joking. And so what happened with Holland, and Beef and I had the debate back and forth whether this was kayfabe or not. And it honestly, if you hear his reaction to that moment, there's a certain kind of pain scream you can't fake. And you heard it from Ridge Holland. And he suffered a left ankle dislocation and fracture, a right knee patella dislocation and tendon rupture. And when they were ringside, they put his knee back in place, and then the ankle was relocated at the hospital as well. They put him in an air cast when they were carting him out. And luckily, he gave the thumbs up, which was nice to see. You always love to see the thumbs up. But there were people who were comparing it, the medical people who were comparing it in the ballpark to Sid Vicious's infamous injury when he went for that big boot off the second turnbuckle. So, obviously, Ridge Holland, hopefully you have a fast recovery, because that was so inopportune for that to happen to him at that time.
Especially now. Yeah,
absolutely.
Because you take Adam Cole, I think, is pound for pound the best in the game today. I'd put Adam Cole and Kenny Omega on the same platform there. So he came out holding Adam Cole's limp body. Clearly, they're heading for something there. It's such a fucking bummer. Real quick, though, I do want to touch on TakeOver. I thought that every match at TakeOver was outstanding. Even the Candice LeRae match, who I feel like always leaves me wanting. I was like, okay, that wasn't a bad match. It was clearly overshadowed by the return of Ember Moon and Toni Storm's announcement that she's going to be coming to NXT, and Rhea Ripley saying, hey, I want that title too. So obviously the aftermath of the match was bigger than the match itself. I really, really liked Gargano versus Damian Priest. That match really kicked it off in a hot start. And I thought they did an incredible job. Priest is killing it as North American champion. Gargano's always the guy that makes the other guy look like gold, except for when they faced Keith Lee, which was weird, but whatever. So, great all around from TakeOver. Gonna be tough to follow for sure. As far as Halloween Havoc goes, yeah, I mean their feelings have to be up in the air. I thought for sure whenever they announced the draft this year that NXT would be part of it, including NXT talent pools. However, they ahead of tomorrow night's draft, they have announced that they have announced the talent pools that are eligible to be drafted. So like half of the roster is available to be drafted tomorrow, half on Monday, which is a smart thing to do. That way you don't get too many big names on one night. And it's between Raw and SmackDown again. No NXT involvement, no NXT names being thrown around. They could definitely throw some swerves in there and throw some surprises. I think that would be wonderful if, like, NXT came out and be like, "Yep, we're involved too." That would be perfect, especially given the terrible rash of injuries that we have. Yeah, I think that things are really up in the air for Halloween Havoc right now, which is a total fucking bummer because my wrestling giggle dick was definitely peaked whenever they announced it. I am a Halloween Havoc mark, to be sure. From fucking spin the wheel, make the deal to fucking Abdullah the Butcher and a damn electric chair in a giant cage. Like I'm in for it, man. I'm in for all of it. I love Halloween Havoc.
I was kind of looking forward, and I know they've been drifting away from it, but come on. Who didn't want to see the Demon at Halloween Havoc?
Oh, that would have been great.
Like proper Demon, not weird pumpkin Demon.
I'm sure they probably would have went, some sort of Sam Hain route. But yeah, I guess, I don't know. I have a lot of questions now surrounding Halloween Havoc. Like, what's going to happen with Finn Balor and his title? Are they not going to feature the NXT title at Halloween Havoc? Are they going to try to press Balor to come back probably before he's ready and put on some sort of, super delicate match with him? And then, they had this great program that was going to be set up with Adam Cole and Holland. Now what's going to happen with Adam Cole? I'm sure they're going to have to, he has to be on Halloween Havoc, especially if Finn Balor's not going to be. What are they going to do with him? Is it going to be a spaghetti at the wall thing, or are they going to really scramble in the next couple of weeks to set up a nice storyline feud?
So I really feel like the Ridge Holland thing, there was another layer to it. Because when he showed up to the arena last night, he showed up in a Mercedes. And somebody asked him about attacking. Yeah, it was there wasn't a fucking person like with a microphone. It was just some guy behind the camera saying, "Why'd you attack Adam Cole?" And he said, "Last week when I pulled up to the arena, I was driving blah blah blah. This week I'm driving a Mercedes. You figure it out." Kind of indicating that maybe somebody padded his pockets a little bit, put a bounty on Adam Cole.
Ooh.
So this, I think, may just speed up that timetable a little bit to where, we see or we hear somebody in the shadows, berating Ridge Holland for messing it up and, you had one job and you screwed it up, something like that. So I think that could still end up where it's going to be, which I think would be great for a great spot for Pat McAfee to come back. Even have somebody else try to take out Adam Cole next week, and have the Undisputed Era catch him and have them sell Pat McAfee down the river. Something clever like that, I think, would work out well.
Do you think they would try to run some sort of story where somehow the spin goes to Adam Cole begins to suspect one of the members of Undisputed Era, and that's how it sows dissension between the group? But it actually, in the end, turns out not to be. But, you have a little bit of that suspicion and maybe a little bit of that animosity within the group with Adam Cole thinking well, hey, Kyle O'Reilly just had this title shot. Someone's paying to get me taken out. Someone doesn't want me back in the title picture. Is this an inside job? Am I being betrayed from within? Or do you think that's not even a question or not even a possibility in Storylineville?
Sure, I'll talk. Sure, I'll talk. Right now, even though I know that the draft polls are up and that they're saying who can be drafted when, I get this feeling that we're going to see some NXT guys and gals end up on Raw and SmackDown. Rhea Ripley is a candidate. With the NXT women's division being absolutely stacked right now, I think that if they're going to call Rhea up, now is the time, because there's not a time I can remember the Raw and SmackDown, really, women's roster being this weak and the NXT's roster being this stacked, except for before when the 4 horsewomen were down there. And I think that the Undisputed, I think part of me really feels like the Undisputed Era is going to be a factor at the draft. Tomorrow night, Monday night, at some point, I think the Undisputed Era is going to make their appearance. I just got that feeling. So I think we need to make it through the weekend before we start, putting their matches onto the paper yet. But we'll see.
Oh, I'm super nervous about this draft.
Oh man,
do you think they're going to treat the draft kind of like they treat the Royal Rumble, where hey, these are the announced, but there's always a few surprises?
I mean, you gotta think that, right? Because it seems so like meh if they come out and say here's exactly who's available what nights. Like I get it. It definitely brings more of like a linear, real sports feel to it, but I don't know that that's a good thing. What do you think, Poot?
I don't know. Drafts always make me nervous. Like they just do, because one of two things happens. Either the draft is underwhelming and we're like, oh, well, cool, nothing's really going to change. Or you watch the draft is good and you go, ooh. And you're excited for these changes, and then WWE fucks it up.
Oh.
Like that's the problem, is that it's like, if the draft is good, they have to then subsequently deliver. That's my caveat here. It can't just be, oh, we shook up the rosters and now we're going to fuck up your favorite wrestlers on a different platform. You know what I mean? Like, the one thing that I hope this does, and I understand it's, there's more forest to see through the trees, but man, I really, really, really hope this benefits Keith Lee, because God, it is a travesty what they're doing with him, which is nothing.
Dude, like, where can he go? Where can he go from here?
Back to NXT, crossing my goddamn fingers.
Well, that would be the best.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this would be the best time, given all the injuries that NXT is dealing with, given the COVID outbreak that NXT was dealing with, given everything that's happening with NXT. Now is the time, and especially given the fact that they're still in a ratings war with AEW, now is the time to give NXT a shot at the draft and bringing guys home like Keith Lee, or taking a shot at guys like, I don't know, Kevin Owens again, or The Fiend, or, and I don't think that they'd move either of these two, but like Murphy would be a good candidate. How about AJ Styles? That'd really shake things up.
Oh, that would be super interesting to see AJ Styles go to NXT, because we never got a chance to see him there.
A++ on that. I would love that.
So, but I feel like at the end of the day, Vince McMahon does not view AEW as competition, B, that NXT is a real brand, or C, that NXT is worth putting time and money into.
Which is completely an erroneous thought. Like, it just is, because NXT is... How can you ignore it? It constantly gets praised.
Well, if you're Vince McMahon, then you don't You know, if you're Vince McMahon, you get a copy of the New York Times sent to your office. You don't read online articles. So, like,
That's a fair point.
To say out of touch, and I mean, I feel like we harp on it every single week, but I mean, it bears harping that he is out of touch. He does not get it. Fuck the fact that AEW is, like, only a couple percentage of points from getting a Raw rating. Like, you know, screw that. I don't know, man. Like, I would love to see guys like Roman Reigns on NXT or AJ Styles or The Fiend. I think that would be a great place for them.
Ooh, excuse me.
But I don't think you will because Vince has too much money, and that's ultimately what it comes down to, is money. He has so much money wrapped up in USA for Raw and Fox for SmackDown that he has to deliver on those two shows. I feel like USA took a flyer on NXT, and they said, "Yeah, we'll give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen?" And they're pleasantly surprised. But like with Raw and SmackDown, like those are the quote unquote money shows where Vince has to deliver. So that's where he wants his big guns. From a business standpoint, I get it. But from a fan standpoint, man, if I okay, perfect example. Apollo Crews, his last 15 matches have all been against the Hurt Business in some form or another. From July, fucking July until October. All against the Hurt Business.
I don't think I realized that.
Done with it. Well, you know why? Because it happens every fucking week. You're just like, what happened with Apollo Crews? Who's the United States champion? You know who that is right now?
Bobby Lashley?
It is, but you said it with a question mark, and it took all of us a long enough time to go, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Here's something right along that line. Chris Jericho said that Vince McMahon told him, quote, now this is going into WrestleMania 29, I believe, where Jericho wrestled Fandango and put him over. And he didn't want to. And
he didn't want to.
He wanted to be. He didn't want to be in a match with Fandango.
Wow.
And he was like, hey, you know, what if I try to go at Wade Barrett for my 10th Intercontinental title run? It would be a huge historic moment. Blah 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 blah. And Vince said to him, Chris, no one gives a shit about the Intercontinental title. So. And I mean, yes, that's, 7-8 years ago now. So, things could have changed for sure. But, that's probably how Vince feels about the mid-card titles.
Well, I mean, if you look at how many times that the Intercontinental title has been left off of a pay-per-view or even relegated to a quick pre-show match.
No. Yes.
I feel like it probably still stands true to this day that he doesn't value that title. If he did, it would be featured in every pay-per-view. It would be, a nice hot opening match, or it would be somewhere on the card where it made sense and showed its importance. But for its lack of appearing on so many different pay-per-views, I wouldn't be surprised if that narrative still held true, that Vince McMahon just doesn't give a crap about it.
From fucking Macho Man Randy Savage to Shawn Michaels to Scott Hall, Bret Hart, The fucking Rock, Triple H, even Stone Cold had a couple reigns in there. Even up through Randy freaking Orton. All of these people held the Intercontinental title and made it feel like a big deal. Made it feel like, here's the title we're giving you. Oh my God, Jericho. Like, here's the title we're giving you now because we know that you're almost ready to make that step. So we want to make sure that there is a spotlight on you before you make that step. It is literally the stepping stone to the WWE title. And all of a sudden, Vince doesn't give a shit about it.
Yeah, it really seemed like that stepping stone, that ladder that you climbed. You became the Intercontinental Champion. You held it for a while. You had some nice high-profile match as the Intercontinental Champion. You lost it, and then were immediately put into the WWE title picture. It seems like those days have really gone by the wayside.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the guys that you looked at, though. Like you said, Beef, back in the day, from Randy Savage to Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, The Rock, and Steve Austin. When those guys held the Intercontinental title, you paid attention because you're like, oh, this dude, this is a future WWE champion. Like, this is a future the man. And you paid attention to that title in those days. Whereas now, it doesn't, it seems like it's, A, I hate to say it, hot potatoed, and B, some of these guys, you see them put that title on, you say to yourself, they're never going to be. Like, they're never going to be the main guy. It's a placeholder title. They have the title, so they have to put it on somebody. But a lot of these guys that show up with the Intercontinental title, like Fandango, not for 1 second did I think, yep, Fandango is going to be a future WWE champion. Like, just never. So I don't understand how it went from such a prestigious, proud, and elevating title to who cares, Evil?
Well, and I think that with his rapid ascension in age, Vince also lost his patience. And that's why we're seeing more hot-shotting. That's why we're seeing less, like, forethought into long angles. We're seeing instant gratification. We're seeing Vince McMahon call up guys from NXT because he's like, oh man, they're hot now, give them to me. Not thinking, what am I going to do with this guy for 6 months? 6 months from now? What am I going to do with this guy next year? Thinking, oh man, I need this guy on my roster right now. Or these guys.
He's a prime example.
Any fucking tag team that they've called up from NXT, any tag team, the Revival had a modicum of success in the roster. A little bit. But, I mean, any other tag team, no chance. Even though they looked like Goliaths in NXT. Could not fucking buy a second of airtime. It is just absolutely outrageous to me that Vince does not value the mid-card. And again, that explains why we are where we are with guys like Randy Orton still in the main event and a lot of, like, who cares about that guy? What? Roman Reigns, after fucking 6 years, is finally starting to get over as a main event player. Finally.
Well, I want to hear Tom's take on this before he has to RUNNOFT.
I think
Tom left already.
I thought he said he was coming back.
Nope.
Oh, he didn't even say goodbye.
He sent us a message in the Discord and make a big deal about it.
He didn't say goodbye to the fans. He didn't say goodbye. Well, he didn't say goodbye to the Maniac. How do you feel about that, Maniac? No, but joking aside, it bums me out, man, because Beef. I'm gonna harken back to you said just a little bit ago about patience. Like Vince McMahon losing his patience, and that's the problem. Is that it was whenever there was a time where titles were getting hot potatoed, and then the top belts weren't as much. So they were like, well, we need to keep this up and keep it interesting. So keep hot potatoing the Intercontinental belt, or at a time the European belt. It was just like new champ. And I think just over time, they got lost to the doldrums, and it was just like, oh, okay. Who cares now? Like, and part of it was, I think, fans losing interest because they're like, oh, well, there's going to be a new IC champ in, a week. Who cares? A week, 2 weeks. Who cares?
Right. Why should I be invested in it? Exactly. Yep.
It was
look at fucking.
It was self-fulfilling prophecy. You know what I mean?
Fucking the the biggest thing I can think of with the problem with the IC title, when Big Show beat Cody at WrestleMania 30, I think it was WrestleMania. No, it was WrestleMania 29. When Big Show beat Cody Rhodes for the IC title, all I could think of is what happened here. Like how did we end up here? It's maddening to me, and I don't know. So, but yeah, I mean that's why we don't have true main event players. That's why we have guys like McIntyre, who I think is good, but he's not as good as I think what we had the last 30 years. I think Reigns again is finally coming into his own, but it took him fucking 6 years to finally find a place where he would feel comfortable. So the fact that they don't have mid-card stepping stones now, the fact that they don't have patience and long-term angles is really, really starting to grate on me. And that's what AEW is doing wonderfully right now, is the slow burns. Like the Young Bucks slow burn heel turn. Kenny Omega's slow heel turn. Like, it feels like they kind of move at a glacial pace because of how quickly things in WWE move. In reality, I think that AEW is doing everything exactly the way that they need to be doing it at exactly the right pace. And that's why I think that they are being successful right now.
I feel like it makes you invest in the up and coming talent.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't have that who cares feeling in the mid card. Like that's, and maybe I'm way off base, but here, are everybody ready? To me, in WWE, the mid card, it's hard for me to invest and care in it because it just seems like, oh, okay, what's happening this week? Oh, spaghetti at the wall this week. Eventually someone maybe will get put into a world title match without really having that stepping stone. It's, this say wrestler A, mid-card, suddenly he's in the title picture, he gets defeated, back to mid-card.
It's the island.
It's hard for me to invest.
It's the island of misfit toys thing.
Yes.
Like, really,
That's exactly it. When I hate to keep harping to back in the day, but let's face it, I feel like wrestling back in the day was better. But back in the day, you had mid-carders who would work their way up. The titles were important. The mid-card titles were important. But you could see them building. You could see them building momentum. You could see them working their way up. And you would be able to look at some of the guys and go, oh, okay, it's not going to be pretty much longer when this guy's in the main title picture. Or, oh, this guy's going to be in a title hunt pretty soon. But nowadays, it's people are in the mid-card and then suddenly title opportunity. Why? What did they do to earn this title opportunity? And when you don't have that, you have already pre-established main talents who have been on top for years, like Randy Orton, constantly being put back in the title picture. And, I'm going to quote Poot here, for reasons. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, suddenly, okay, McIntyre's a champion. Now, all of a sudden, here comes Randy Orton. Why? Is it because he's Randy Orton and he's, one of the top guys, and he can just be like, hey, Randy Orton, I've been here forever. I've been champion already. That just means I get the title. I get to challenge for the title because, my name's Randy Orton. Ta-da!
He literally said that in the promo after the fucking blow-off ambulance match, which should have been the fucking blow-off. Orton was like, you know why I get another title shot? Because I'm Randy Orton. Like, that's the biggest.
That's a direct Vince quote.
Yeah, that's the biggest slap in the face to any fan. Why do I do it? Because I can. All right, that's cool. So
that should be in the WWE opening. It shouldn't be WWE then, now, forever. It should be WWE because we can. Like, honestly, that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the problem is that, and we keep going back to it. I think what's the streak of us mentioning this exact thing here?
Every damn show.
No. It's the idea of there's no long-term booking. That's the problem. It's all at the whims of an old, decrepit, dusty old bones full of green dust old man. And that's an issue. Like, it just can't keep happening like this. Because nothing will get better. It's only going to get worse. And the problem is, you know, to the casual fan, I'm sure, seeing Randy Orton and Roman Reigns being put in quote unquote interesting and top positions is great. But like, so much now of the fan base is in the know, at least somewhat, and at least some kind of like informed fan. They're going to look and go, what are you doing with Keith Lee? What are you doing with Undisputed Era? What are you doing with, and even to an extent, despite everything outside, I'm talking strictly within the bubble of kayfabe, Austin Theory. What are you doing with, for the longest time, Kushida? And I'm talking the entire WWE umbrella here. It has to be fixed to where things have a long, slow burn that aren't just 1 or 2 programs per top belts. You remember, I can't remember, I was listening to a podcast, someone pointed this out, Belch, and they said, back in the day, mid-carders, like, everyone had a story. Think about it. Everyone at least had some kind of motivation or story of why they were doing what they were doing and why they were where they were, except for the jobbers. Like, and even then, a lot of them had their own little cult followings, like the Brooklyn Brawler. Hell, the 1-2-3 Kid was a jobber until Razor put him over, and then that put him up in the mid-card world. You know what I mean?
Job Squad.
The
damn Job Squad.
Well, yeah. I mean, and those guys were all journeymen.
Yep.
Like that's the thing is like, yeah, even the Job Squad had a story and they had a reason. Like, and they had, like, Al Snow can cut a promo in his sleep. Like, that's the thing, is that there is no story anymore. You're just wrestler number 3. You're wrestler number 24601. Like, it's sad. It's sad.
Like the entire mid card anymore is our jobbers.
Well,
if you're in the mid card, you're a jobber until you eventually get put into a title picture.
I wouldn't go that far, but I get what you're going for, and I agree to an extent. But it's just like there's no, like I said, I think it's more there's no motivation for a lot of people. They're just doing it because, and to quote myself, reasons.
Sure.
Also,
absolutely. I look at Keith Lee. Go ahead, Beef.
I was going to say, also, Poot, jobber is not the preferred nomenclature. Enhancement talent, please.
I'm sorry. Sorry, my fault. Sorry, anyone who was triggered out there. You can at me. You can at me at Beef the Legend 13.
That's not the case.
It's not even the thing. But look, and I'll even go to an extent to say, in my opinion, at this point in time, Keith Lee's a jobber. He might not be technically losing the matches, but when your match doesn't end in a win for you, when it's constant doofy finishes, draws, whatever they are, I don't know. You're a jobber to me. He's not getting any decent pushes, even in the mid-card.
Now, devil's advocate here, it is early. It is early for Keith Lee, and I don't know. I'm not trying. You know what? I'm not even going to follow that path, that logical path, because there is no logic to it. Just fucking Keith Lee deserves better.
It is early, but at the same time, I would say that I would agree with you if Keith Lee was brought in from somewhere else, immediately started on the main roster. Okay, fine. it's too early. But when you had Keith Lee rise to the top of NXT, he was the NXT champion, and he came from NXT to the main roster with a House of Fire, and that rapidly sizzled down to we don't know what to do with Keith Lee. We don't have anything for you. Like, well, when you come up at NXT like that, you shouldn't have that period of, well, he's got to get put through his paces or yada yada yada. If you're maybe a North American champion and that's all that you did, not to say that that's bad, but if that's what you've accomplished and you come to the main roster, okay, then all right, maybe it's too early to tell. But when you're a Keith Lee and there's no earthly reason with the talent that you have, especially for the size that guy is, and what he accomplished in NXT, and how he left NXT and came to the main roster on fire, I don't see any reason behind, well, it's too early. He's going to have to find his stride, or it shouldn't be that way. If you're caught up from NXT, having been the man and a fan favorite, I don't know. Like I think we as fans expect and frankly deserve better than what we've gotten with what they've done with Keith Lee.
What?
So I have two other things I want to jump to here, but I'm going to do some quick hitters with you real quick. So the draft coming up tomorrow night and Monday night. Do we see NXT talent drafted on either show? Poot.
Yes.
Ransom.
Yes.
Who? Ransom.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we do see NXT talent drafted. Who? I don't know. My fear, especially now, is that it's Undisputed Era. Or one/a few of them.
Poot.
With the Ridge Holland thing now down the tubes, I wouldn't be surprised if they have part or all of Undisputed Era pulling double duty. I wouldn't. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm trying to think. Now they just put her in there's programs with it, but I wouldn't be surprised if McMahon gets a wild hair up his ass and says he wants Rhea Ripley.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised because he's just being a whipping boy, I wouldn't be surprised if Austin Theory gets called up and jobbed out. I know he's still new and he's still building the gimmick down there, but I mean, there's so many talent. If it wasn't for Dream running in this past week and interfering with Ciampa and Kushida, I would have said Velveteen Dream. I would have said Dream because his defeat was so handily done. And it seemed like the attack afterwards with Kushida, it seemed like they were writing Dream off, and that was going to send him up to the main roster. You know what I mean?
I'll answer as well. I do believe we will. I think we'll see Rhea Ripley. I think we'll see Velveteen Dream. I think there's an outside chance we see Adam Cole with or without the Undisputed Era. And it wouldn't surprise me if we see a guy like Cameron Grimes.
I don't want to see. I want to see Grimes stew a little bit down there. I want to see him get the North American belt. I don't see him as an NXT champ, but I feel like if he gets called up to the main roster, he's going to be a goof like Otis. And understandably, that's the character Cameron Grimes has done, but he's also wildly legitimate. And also, they just kind of started a program with him and Dexter Lumis.
Yeah, we'll see. I just things change on the minute with WWE. So anything planned out in NXT is up for grabs. Okay, so continue on with draft.
Quick question. Sorry, quick question.
Yes.
Do either one of you think there's an off chance that we see a Johnny Gargano call up?
Oh. I mean,
no. Him and Ciampa have both kind of like made it clear that they have, I don't want to say disdain, but it's basically like a nicer word for disdain for going up to the main roster. So I don't think we'll do that now or ever. Distaste, yes.
But yes, I agree, 100%. But
it's not their choice,
right? If they're under contract with WWE and Vince McMahon says, "Guess what? I want one of you." Like he says, I want Gargano on Raw. What can Gargano really do? I mean, maybe he could voice protest, but if Vince wants it, is there anything that can be done to stop it?
I
nope.
mean,
he doesn't really have the power to dictate that, does he?
Yeah, they could quit.
Gargano.
They would have to break their contracts, though.
Yep.
So then they'd just be stuck. They'd be stuck off the TV, stuck in a contract, not able to do anything. It's not like they could even go anywhere.
Well, and the problem is they would be facing the issue that a lot of wrestlers seem to be facing now who were let go from WWE or are on the independent scene is they can't work.
That's true. Like, other than AEW, really, where are you going to go? But they wouldn't even be able to go to AEW because if they're under contract, unless Vince would let them out, and I can't imagine he's going to let Ciampa or Gargano out of their contracts. Like, what are they going to do?
There's Impact, there's CZW, there's Dragon Gate, there's places they can go and they can still get paid decently. But, I mean, why would you break your contract now knowing that jobs are few and very fucking far between?
Yep.
So, continuing on with quick hitters, which this hasn't been anything up, but I'm going to try. You guys are good. I enjoy discussion as much. So, more draft questions. Do we see the main titles and their title holders switch? I.e., do we see Drew McIntyre go to SmackDown and Roman Reigns go to Raw? Poot.
I don't think so. I think those are the two that are not gonna go. Roman Reigns is kind of set in that tribal chief thing, and I think there's more to be told with that. And they would also have to take the Usos with them, and then it would just feel disingenuous. It's just like, hey, we're gonna tell the same story, but in red. I think that McIntyre and Reigns are gonna stay where they're at.
What do you think, Ransom?
I agree with Poot. Didn't they already announce another match between Reigns and Jey Uso?
Yep, both Reigns and Uso and McIntyre and Orton are at Hell in a Cell. But, I mean, as previous drafts have been seen, sometimes that doesn't matter. They just say, hey, you know what? We're going to let the champions play out their matches, and, we'll accept the results. So if Reigns goes to Raw and Jey Uso does not, and Jey Uso wins the WWE title or the Universal title from him, then that will then be SmackDown property. I got to say, and I agree with you too, I don't think they will change, but one of my favorite memories of like a recent WWE, and this is not so recent, so this is like 2002 or 3 or whatever, so almost 20 years ago. But whenever, I think it was their first draft, when Cena came to Raw and he had the WWE title, and Batista, and like they held the draft over like 4 weeks or whatever, and Batista had the world title on Raw. So for about a month, Cena and Batista had the two big belts on the same show. I thought that was wild, and like at the end of the day, like, we knew that somebody was going to be switching brands, but it was cool for like that moment for it to be at the same time. So real quick, I gotta talk about music, man, because damn.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So this is kind of like legendary letdown toward territory.
Go for it.
But
Wow.
it bears repeating. Wrestling and the entrance. So the entrance music is what makes professional wrestling. The fucking pomp, the circumstance, the pyro, the fucking big entrances on big events. You know, just the ridiculous Titantrons, like the crazy gear. Like, that's what sets this quote-unquote sport apart from the actual sport of wrestling. Well, you know, that and all the fake, you know, gimmicks. But entrance music has been a part of this business forever. Whenever you heard bow, 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 your fucking hair stood on the back of your neck and your arms. I don't care if you hated Hogan. When you heard it and you hadn't heard it for a long time, like, oh my God, it's Hulk Hogan. You know, you hear the glass break, immediate goosebumps. If you smell, you know what's coming. You know, even fucking, you know, also Sprach Zukrustras, whatever the fuck it is, the theme from 2001, Space Odyssey, Ric Flair's theme, is fucking synonymous with the Nature Boy. Now, so I'm sure AEW has good music, but I'll never fucking know because you can't hear it. If your name isn't Cody or Omega or the Young Bucks or Hangman Page, I don't know what the fuck your music sounds like. Or Jericho. I'm sorry. Or Jericho. I don't know what the fuck your music sounds like. Maybe it's because they're coming in from break. They're coming in hot, and I don't get to hear your music. Maybe it's because their sound dampening is so fucking bad. AEW, I want to hear your music. Fix it. WWE, you fucked up. You fucked up, AA Ron. You fucked up bad. It's a
Must be me.
Key and Peele sketch. Oh my God, I can't say it. Can't speak to save my life tonight. WWE, you fucked up bad when you fucking let CFO Money Sign walk out in February. You are a $1 billion company. Break the son of a bitch off some hundos and go get his ass. Fucking Keith Lee's
two guys.
Sorry, their ass. Sorry. Keith Lee's theme was only the beginning. Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy, Seth Rollins all have just the drizzling shits themes. But you know what got me? You know what really kind of took that screwdriver and put it right between my ribs and be like, hey, we got you now? Ember Moon. Coolest fucking entrance I can remember outside of the Demon, which is a special thing, and the Fiend, which is a special thing. But coolest, like, basic ass entrance that I can remember was Ember Moon. The gear, the Titantron, the fucking the hood that she had, the song, all of it, good stuff. Now she comes back with like a Road Warrior gimmick. Okay, it's cool. I dig it. I get it. You got to evolve. But that song though, oh man, is it fucking bad. It is the absolute worst. Wrestling. Do better. We care about entrance themes. Do better.
I will agree with you. Ember Moon's entrance music is not as great as it was. I don't think it's as bad as you're making it out to be. It could be worse.
There's literally a lyric in the song that's like ee. Oh my God! I even tried giving it a shot like last night. I tried listening to it again, and I was like, man, this is the fucking worst thing I've ever heard.
Okay, now to be fair, I only heard it. Sorry, thinking about it is making me tired. I only listened to it at the end of NXT, and I was like, okay, Beef said this is terrible, and I went, oh, it doesn't sound that bad. But then again, I didn't listen to the lyrics, so that's the problem. They really, and I said this, I was like, I can't believe with how great they did on damn near every single theme song, they didn't buy out their contracts from their, like, it to me it's insane. Like, the one that really makes me mad, and I thought it was Keith Lee, but it's not. It's Aleister Black. That's the one that pisses me off. Because, like, Aleister Black's theme was so good. I was like, man, this is going to be an iconic theme. This is going to be an iconic theme. It built right. It had a great sound. The whole 9 yards. And then they gave him this weird Aleister Black, and then generic weird metal. It's so bad. It sounds very super low mid cardy. Like,
they all are, man. There's not one good one in the bunch. Seth Rollins is okay, but like, you go from Jack Johnson, who is a fucking icon. That's someone who needs to be put in the Hall of Fame, by the way. That dude wrote so many other good fucking tunes. To CFO $. I'm sure there was probably some space in between where there was not anybody really decent. But CFO $, put up a lot of great fucking songs for NXT and like a lot of new guys. And it's just, man, it is laughably bad now. Like Bobby Lashley's new theme, I'm pretty sure is like a post CFO theme. It's bad. Their MVP's theme is post. It's all fucking trash, man. I cannot think of one song that was not written by CFO or didn't exist before that I like at all, in the least at all. Period.
Are all CFO songs gone?
No, because Balor's a CFO. I think Ciampa's a CFO. I think Karrion Kross is a CFO, and I swear
is Undisputed Era still the same?
Yes.
They're CFO, right?
Yes.
And that that was the thing, is that the talent had the option. They gave them the option. They said, you can, and it was obviously very heavy-handed, ditch your CFO theme. But if you think about it, like, Undisputed Era's not gonna give it up. Ciampa's not gonna give his up. Like, AJ Styles is not gonna give his up. It's people that had a little bit of clout that they went, nah. Like, Velveteen Dream is not gonna give his up. Like, but you're gonna have people, unfortunately. Keith Lee, it happened right after he moved to he was getting called up to the main roster, and he wanted to play ball. Like, and he even kind of made that clear. He's like, I just want to play ball. And
see where that got him.
Well, exactly. And then Aleister Black, I'm sure, I don't know why he would have given his up, because, man, that makes me so sad.
Listen, here's the thing.
Why can't they bring back Jim Johnson?
Jack Johnson. Or is it Jim Johnson?
Jack Johnson is a different guy.
Jack Johnson.
Jim Johnson is the WWE guy. Why can't they bring him back? He made iconic themes.
He's probably at an advanced stage where he's like, I don't need to do this anymore.
Well, that's fair.
No, and the other thing is, I wonder, because I think CFO had 2 years left on their contract, I think is what it said. Like 2 years left on their licensing or whatever it was, their publisher contract. I wouldn't be surprised at all if, when their contract runs out, or if they see a lot of backlash and it's really negative, I wouldn't be surprised if then WWE like either buys out their contract, or the second their contract is up, WWE comes knocking. because, man, like Shinsuke Nakamura's theme, Bobby Roode's theme, even Johnny Gargano's face theme, Rebel Heart, like, I mean, Asuka's theme. That's the problem, is that the music was so good and so tied to these characters. If you change it, like Beef said, it absolutely impacts the characters.
Who is doing the themes now?
Generic man number 6.
Cocksuckman.
Cocksuck. Raw.
Is it? Oh, that sucks.
No, it's and I'm sure it's somebody, but I mean, if you're somebody and there's all this heat about CFO's songs no longer being around, you're the guy who's replacing them, and you're replacing them with wiping your hand up your ass and going, "Does this look good?" Like, why would you come out and be like, "Yes, me, I do that"? Hell no.
Poor Ricochet.
Hell no. I wouldn't admit to that in a second. I'd be shirking into a fucking dark corner going, "Well, time to eat this last cyanide pill. See you later, world." Like,
wow.
It's oh, dude, they're all so bad. I cannot. You as a man who enjoys a good entrance tune, whether you hate the wrestler or not, can absolutely understand. I can't even make you fathom how bad they are. Like, I haven't even heard them on Spotify yet, so I haven't heard them uninterrupted, but I don't fucking want to, because damn.
Wow, they're that abysmal.
Yeah. So last thing I want to touch on real quick. Florida governor has given the okay for universities to go ahead and open up their football stadiums to full attendance. I'm sure that there still will be mask wearing protocols. You can't really do social distancing at that point. But here's why this is important. Rumors are making the rounds. Well, first of all, that WWE and AEW both operate in the state of Florida, so it's going to give them a little bit more gravitas. But more importantly, rumors are currently swirling that WWE is going to be pulling out of WrestleMania 37 in Hollywood at SoFi Stadium, and will be relocating to the Tampa Bay Stadium, Raymond James Stadium in Tampa for WrestleMania 37. So, what do you guys think?
I would just like to say, Florida, you're the reason we can't have nice things. But honestly, dude, it's a weird line, like, because today I was at Sheetz. Literally, me and the employees were the only ones wearing masks.
So
that was
let me pause you here real quick. I'm not looking to go political. I'm not looking to get into a mask, no mask. I'm just looking to, like, what do you think of the impact on the sport will be? Do you think that that's going to be a thing? Do you think they'll open up to a full audience? That's kind of the realm I'm looking to go. I mean, if you want to talk about that, that's fine. I know, you go right ahead, but I was just,
I know it sounds like a cop-out, but I don't know. Like, literally only time will tell. Like, I try not to make, declarative statements or anything like that anymore, because it's just pointless. Like, I know that sounds very dystopic and maudlin, but, like, it's true. Like, I'm not gonna say, oh, it will impact or it won't impact it. I'm just going, all right, whatever, cool. Like, we'll see what happens, I guess. Like, it literally is like, it's the gif of Michael Jackson eating popcorn. Like, it's literally just sitting back, eating popcorn and going, all right, let's see how this plays out. I know that's a non-answer, but it's true. Like, it's just cool. All right, like, okay, I guess this is what we're doing. So let's see how it plays out, because no amount of braying or screaming to the sky or posing an argument is going to change what people are doing. So it's just a matter of, all right, how's this going to pan out? So that's my answer.
What do you think there, Mr. Ransom?
So there's no way for me to answer this that's not political, but it's not probably not the route that you're thinking. So my answer is, and I believe this all hedges on who wins the election. Because if Trump wins, I think he's going to continue to let states dictate how they operate. He's going to let it be up to the governors how they operate their states. And if that happens, I assume that we will see a fully packed stadium. Whether there's mass or not, I believe we'll see a fully packed stadium for WrestleMania. Because the governor will allow it. So I think Vince McMahon will say, hey, I'm going to do it. And he's going to pack a crowd in there. If Biden wins, I think you'll probably see more federal restrictions than you will state restrictions. Like, I think he'll put policies in place and leave it less up to the state governors. And if that happens, I wouldn't be surprised if they said, sporting events at 25% capacity, if that. So honestly, I really think it depends on who wins the election, because I think if the governors are left to their own devices, regardless of the cases that show up, Florida could spike. But I think that Florida governor is going to say, hey, you know what? If it spikes, it spikes. You make a choice for yourself. Stay home if you don't want to get it. If you don't care, come on out. And I imagine we'll have a packed stadium. I think Vince McMahon will pack it to the brim. But if there are federal restrictions that go into place, it wouldn't surprise me if we saw another WrestleMania like we did this year. I think it all is going to depend on who is dictating the restrictions when it comes WrestleMania time.
I don't think we'll ever see another WrestleMania like we saw this year, because this year's WrestleMania was depressing. Just so sad.
Oh, well, we'll see Thunderdome, though. If there are federal restrictions, we'll see a Thunderdome, but probably not crowds.
Well, I think we'll see a mix, because I think that we are past the point of no return in terms of people saying, I'm doing it. You can't stop me. I'm doing it. And I think that most of the government knows that as well, that they can't tell people you can't go there. So I think at the very least, we're going to see at least 25% packed house. So I'm going to give my boy Withrow a shout out here, because he made a very apropos statement that I'm going to piggyback on and say that, because initially I thought it was dumb for them to try and move out of SoFi Stadium. But in this scenario, it actually makes a little bit of sense, because A, you're keeping good with your word Tampa, bringing people in. B, even if there are government-imposed restrictions with people, I think you're still going to see a partial crowd there. And I still think that, 25% of 65, 80, well, actually, and with the wrestling ring, you're going to have more of a capacity. So realistically, you could probably get 15, 20,000 people in the area. Is still better than what they've been offering currently. Would still give an honest to God buzz, and would still have a different feel. So it makes sense for them to be in Tampa again next year, if for no other reason than to have some fans, and then hopefully, God willing, knocking on all the fucking wood I can muster, in 2022, assuming that we're done with this, going to SoFi and blowing the roof off, setting the indoor attendance record for SoFi Stadium at that point, and just, having a big blowout. So that plan makes a lot of sense to me. And like I said, we had this discussion on Sunday night before the Florida governor made his mandate. So I truly believe that Vince McMahon loves two things: big sweaty men and money. Vince McMahon will pack that house. Common person be damned. He doesn't give a fuck if you get COVID, if your grandma dies, if your nana dies, whatever. He doesn't care. If you're going to pay him $250 for a seat, and those are low-end seats, by the way. Well, I guess, high, but I digress. If you're going to pay him to sit in the stadium, he is going to be your best friend. So, I 100% see Vince opening it up if he has the green light to do so. And I get the feeling that we're going to see at least 40,000 in the crowd, if not a completely packed house of 60 to 70,000.
That wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't.
Trump or not, I just feel like that's going to be the thing. So we'll see, though. We will see.
Time will tell.
So I have. Hang on. Hydration. I have one of those quick questions that Beef was throwing out about the draft that I wanted to ask you guys real quick. And I'd bring him up just because, as much as I feel he is misused, I'm still interested because I think it has all the potential in the world. Do you think you see a Fiend switch brands? A Bray Wyatt? Does Bray Wyatt switch brands in this draft?
I could see Bray Wyatt moving over to Raw, but I could see Alexa Bliss staying on SmackDown and having the Fiend operate on both ends.
Look at the big brain on Poot.
Yeah, that would be probably best, I would think.
And that would be some amazing long-ish term booking. For them to say, hey, you know what? We got a draft coming up. We can get this character on both shows. Let's just spread the love. I think, yes, The Fiend will be on Raw. They've been putting him in a match with Kevin Owens. It looks like they're going to face a Hell in a Cell, probably. So either Owens is going to SmackDown, which I'm fine with, or The Fiend is going to Raw, which I'm fine with.
Sweet.
What do you think, Ransom?
I don't know what to expect, but I would like to see The Fiend go to Raw. And I would like to see Alexa Bliss stay on SmackDown because I think both brands having some sort of iteration of The Fiend just expounds on that character even more. That's what I want to see happen.
I like it. It at least make this interesting, WWE.
Yeah, right?
But
please don't F it up.
But boys, if I may, we're getting a little long in the tooth.
Yeah, I don't know if we have a stump the champs. Excuse me, stump the champs. But maybe if we do, let's save it till next week when we get the four of us here. And I'd hate to break our streak, just in case there's some knowledge that Tom wants to drop in the question.
Yeah, we need 200 IQ.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. I hate those videos.
But, so do you guys mind if I take it on home?
Burrito me, Poot.
Thank you, everybody, for watching the P3 podcast, watching, listening, whatever you're doing. If you're watching it on YouTube, congratulations. Enjoy our picture, our logo for the past 2 hours. And if you're listening on any number of wonderful platforms, you can find us, which would be Google Podcasts. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple Podcasts.
Oh, we hit the big time.
Oh, we hit the big time. All right. And you can find us basically anywhere you can find quality podcasts. Make sure you look us up. That is the Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast. And go back if you're new to the show. If you found us by some weird stretch of imagination, go ahead and go back and listen. We have Breaking Kayfabes, where we kind of get away from wrestling, talk about life, talk about video games, talk about all kinds of stuff. We also have a couple episodes of Collar Elbow Tie Up, which is a debate kind of thing that we do. And we may or may not have more episodes of that in the future. We'll see.
Hope we do.
And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. I know that's a cliche at this point, and it's a meme, but I don't really care. Go ahead and do it. Or on any of those podcast sites, make sure you follow us. Also, go on Facebook, find us, Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast on Facebook. Give our page a like. And you can also submit your Stump the Chumps questions that we were talking about. You can go on over there and to our Gmail, which is Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast at gmail.com. Correct, Beef?
Yes, sir.
Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast at gmail.com, and submit your Stump the Champs questions, basically asking us questions about wrestling history, wrestling facts, wrestling trivia, and try and see if we can answer it correctly. Just make sure your answer, put it way down. Put lots of entrance spaces so that we don't see it and it's not spoiled for us. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Want to thank the sponsors again. Thank you very much to Mr. Casual Gaming Dad himself, Tiger Bomb Tom. Right now, as we speak, which will be in the past, but he streams a lot of Among Us right now, also streams tons of other games, and we pop in there as well and play some Among Us. If you haven't seen Among Us or you don't know what it is, you're going to love it. It is a blast. That's Casual Gaming Dad on Facebook and Casual Gaming Dad 84 on Twitch and YouTube. You can also make sure to thank our other sponsor, Mr. Sean Tischler, and his work with IWC in the central Pennsylvania area. Sean, we are very much looking forward to the next IWC Clearfield show. And make sure, folks, whenever you can, please support your local indies. That's where you're going to see the stars of the future. For Mr. Tiger Bomb Tom, Mr. Alec... Oh, there you go, the uppercut. Mr. Alec Ransom, myself, Poot the Bard, baby, and your reigning, defending, undisputed Chooserweight champion, Mr. Beef the Legend. Have a wonderful night. Oh, you dum-dums.
Fuck you, Beef.